to the Bad Islands Whangaroa Community Board meeting for Thursday, the 7th of August. I will ask Councillor Babe Cutler to open us with a karakia, please.
Kia ora. Kia tata mai koe I wha, wainuni a mātou I tēnei haora, e arataki, e awhina I a mātou roko I a kaupapa e mui a mātou. Kia tūtuki pai hoki I rungi te tika, te pono, te aroha, te karaka, pai here te rungi te rangi nā e. Amen. Te rata. Amen.
Now, apologies, I haven't received apologies from member Amy Slack, so we'll just see whether she's able to make it this morning. Come back to that. Any conflicts of interest at all? Moving on, we'll go straight into public forum. Do we have anybody here to speak in public forum this morning? No, so we'll move into our speakers for our funding application. So first up, we have Friends of Northland Dance on page 56. Do we have Kelly Hull? Kelly's attending virtually online.
No, Wally's here.
That's the lady stand.
Kelly kindly passed on your notes and appointment this morning. Not feeling too flash.
Are you right here?
Yeah, I'll be fine. I just getting that nasty bug that's going around, I think. I know, I'll stay back here. Thank you for seeing me again today.
How we roll, you've got 5 minutes to speak.
Yeah.
You might want to leave a little bit of time for some questions.
Sure. I just thought I'd give you a bit of a background as to what's been happening over the last year since I've seen you. We've had a lot going on. We had a fantastic show last year. Thank you very much for the funding that helped with all our costumes. Since then, the Dance Vibes studio that holds the show has secured new premises. So they've now got a 2-level dance studio. So they've got 2 studios. They've been able to hire some more dance teachers. We secured funding for, I think it's the only proper dance floor in Northland, which, well, from Whangaroa up, which is fantastic. So they've now got a hardwood dance floor, sprung dance floor for the girls to dance on. The role has gone from, I don't know whether you'll remember, we did Alice in Wonderland, was our first production here at the Tuna Centre, where we had 100 students. Last year we had Welcome to the Circus, around about 140 students. She now has just under 200 students. So it seems with every show we put on, it jumps up, which is fantastic because it's getting dance out there and into the community, and the girls are just loving it. And we wish we had some boys. We've been trying to get some boys in there for some hip hop, but I think they're a bit nervous with all the girls that go. Since then, we've also started what we call the DVNZ, Friends of Dance Northland Performance Company, which is the girls that are really dedicated to their dance journey. They've started doing competitions down at Whangaroa, and they also are available for performances. We were hoping to put them into the Tuna Centre last weekend, but they had a dance competition on down in Whangaroa, so they couldn't do both, unfortunately. So there's a group of about 30 girls aged from 6 to 18 that perform in that performance company. So it's giving them a little bit more push towards a career in dance, if that's what they want to do. And I know there's at least 3 or 4 that are looking at that option. So it's great. So this year we're doing a show called Twisted Fairy Tales, which is going to be, it's almost running on from Alice in Wonderland. So it's sort of going to bring back Alice, not the same dancer, obviously, she's grown a bit. Bring back Alice, and she's going to work her way through fairy tale land, where Little Red Riding Hood has stolen the fairy tale book and has changed all the fairy tales, and Alice needs to get them back to how they're supposed to be. So it's going to be a really exciting show. The girls are very excited. They can't wait because we have secured the Tuna Centre again for the show, which they all want to go back to the Tuna Centre. And then we've just had a discussion around the fact that we are going to do a third show, which is going to be more community-based at Liddington Gardens. So that's going to be one that we're going to keep the price right down so that young families and young children can come. They'll be able to run around, be grass-seated, so a little bit more informal than the Tuna Centre, but get that out there as well. So, yeah. We have asked for a little bit more funding than last year, simply for the fact that we've got a lot more girls to get into costumes. With some of our girls taking up to 6, 7 classes a week. Some of the classes have 18 to 20 students in them. It's a big undertaking. Yeah, that's about it.
Thanks. Questions? Bruce?
Yeah, costumes. What does happen to the costumes? Do you recycle them?
Yes, we've actually now got the costumes available because they are owned by Friends of Dance Northland. So we've been lending them out we've just lent a whole lot out to a real small school in Northland to do their production. So we're trying to get them all out there. We've also, with the close down of NDA, Northern Dance Academy, which was a real shame, we've incorporated the NDA Trust, so we've actually inherited things as well. So we are working alongside the new Turning Point, and they're able to access all the costumes as well. We're putting it out there. Little Mermaid used quite a few of our costumes. We're sharing them around. Yeah. I made quite a few, which was really time consuming, but I love it. So
I saw you applied for some, kind of containers and things to put things in. So you've got some what I call infrastructure to
for storage
ongoing.
Support
you.
Yes, and we've just done a big catalogue which we're going to put online so people can actually access it, see what we've got available.
Wow.
And say, okay, well, we'd like to borrow these, and then
So I'll ask that question that Anne Court always asks. So if you don't get the full amount of funding, will your show still be able to go ahead?
Yes, we've just been, since I applied for this, we applied for funding with the Dalton Trust, and they have granted us $7,300 to help with the cost of the Tuna Centre, which is amazing because that was our biggest drawback with the Alice in Wonderland show, was the cost of the Tuna Centre. So now that we have got that covered, we are full steam ahead.
How much was that?
$7,300.
And you asked 10.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
Just note on page 65, it's got 1923 and 1924. Actually, 2023 and 2024.
Yeah.
That's
That's happened in
Oh, that wasn't me. That's okay then.
Yeah, I think
That's
that's
the
the
age
thing, Madam Chair.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that would have been me dancing.
It's on all of them though, Belinda, all of them are the wrong.
Oh,
Yeah.
they all are.
Well, certainly in the supplementary.
I can't look at it at the moment, but
Because you're
I'll have a look. Well, no.
We
because my
actually,
screen's been
the other thing that we're finding is really great with some of our senior dancers now are teaching our little minis. So my daughter, who's 13 going on 14 next week, she teaches the mini hip hoppers. So they're involved in choreographing the dancers for the show, which is really cool. It's building up their confidence and teaching and helping out the little ones. So that's been really awesome. Yeah, and we've got, I think, 6 of the senior girls teaching minis. So it's really neat.
So, sorry, 2 shows here, $25 a ticket, is that right? Thereabouts.
Yeah, thereabouts. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Super accessible fee. And then cheaper even so at Liddington's.
Yeah. We want that to be
open air type stage situation.
open air type stage situation. We want that to be really accessible to the general public. Obviously, these ones will probably be more focused on mums, dads, grandparents that don't want to sit on the grass and go and watch, because I know a lot of grandparents don't want to go and sit on the grass and watch their grandchildren. So we want to really focus on the friends and family of the dancers for the Tuna Centre, and then the general public for the open air.
Lunches and breakfast she mind you.
Yes.
So they're assisting you in
Yes. I know Sherry Meekin had a really good talk. She's the dance teacher and she's got a vision, as these creative people do, and we sometimes have to draw her back a little bit. But she has her vision and she wants to have it almost like a carnival where she's going to have ice cream and so really make it like a community event for that one.
And then I guess my last question is, it sounds like you're really positioning yourself as somewhat of a central dance community in a sense, right? And then sort of letting other people make use of your resources and other
Exactly what we're trying to do.
Awesome.
So with now securing the floor for Dance Vibes, which still obviously belongs to Friends of Dance, but it's there for them. We have also got the ballet floor that was owned by NDA, so we're be able to lend that out to the Turner Centre, which I know when the New Zealand Ballet comes here, they always ask if they can use it, but it hasn't really been accessible to them. So we'll be able to help with that sort of thing as well now, which is really cool.
And I know you touched on member numbers. How many, do you have at the moment? Member?
Around 200 dancers.
That's huge. That's amazing.
It's grown a lot. And that's just in one dance school. I mean, then there's other dance schools around as well.
Your daughter not dancing yet?
No.
Get her.
One thing. She's only 4.
Oh, we've got 4 years old.
Great, awesome. Well done. It's sort of like a sport for girls in a sense, right? Isn't it?
It is a sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, sorry.
I know there's a huge argument whether dance is a sport, but we get excluded from most of the sports.
Interesting. That's where I was sort of going.
Yeah, we have to go for arts.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Right, no more questions?
Thank you, everyone.
Make your decision a bit later at the meeting. Thank you. And just apologies, I think we'll go around the table and introduce ourselves for those listening online and a couple of staff in the room. Because we have a new staff member at the table with us, Natasha. So apologies, Natasha. I'll start with you, Councillor.
Kia ora, I'm Dave Kappa, elected member in the Māori ward.
I don't know where to look. Good morning, everyone. Councillor Anne Ford. I'm the Eastern Ward Bay of Islands councillor appointed to this amazing board.
Morena, Tyler Bamber, the Waipapa representative.
Morena, I'm Amy, community board member, Kiri subdivision.
Yes, good morning. I'm Bruce Mills. I represent the Whangaroa.
Good morning again. My name's Lane Eyre. I'm representing Kiri.
Belinda Wall, I represent the Waihe Waitangi subdivision and your chair today.
Morena, I'm Marissa, I'm the Democracy Advisor.
Morning, I'm Natasha and I'm also a Democracy Advisor.
Kia ora. My name is Roddy Harpim. I'm the board member for the Whangaroa and Kaukau subdivision.
Morena, ko Jane Hindler Ho. I'm Jane Hindler from the Koraka Russell Opua subdivision.
And kia ora, I'm Catherine. I'm funding advisor for Whanaka District Council.
Thanks, Catherine. We have a couple of staff with us as well. Introduce Hi, Kim.
Good morning, Beverly Mitchell, Community Board Coordinator for Te Huku, filling in for Bay of Islands today.
Right, moving on, we will go to Jackie for Jackman Entertainment application on page 68 of your agenda and additional information on page 55. He's on the spot, it's invisible, so you just
Hello everybody, Jackie Sanders, so Kiri Street Party, it's like childbirth this one, never again, and here we are, so, you know, so there is always a lot of fun, last year we had just over 3,500 people come through the gates, and we actually first time closed the gates and stopped letting any more people in. So yeah, so it is continues to be very popular. But every year, yes, costs are just going up and up. and sort of there's things that we can't compromise on, especially in terms of health and safety. Sort of we've been in big discussions with the traffic management team this year. We've had some great sort of Teams calls, and they're looking at ways that we can kind of maybe, sort of like cut things down, but and this, sort of use our security a bit more. But everything we've kind of looked at in terms of the security and the traffic management, so we really just want to keep it completely safe. We are closing off the centre of town, and so when you look at things that have happened at street parties elsewhere in the world in the last few months, and Liverpool Football Club, sort of, interesting to see they just had a few road cones at the end of their road closure, and cars were able to get around and cause a bit of havoc. So we don't compromise on that, sort of, and we have the full fencing in place, and sort of a large security contingent and the traffic management. But the traffic management are going to look at how they can bring those costs down for us. And we also really do need to pay people on the gates. We have volunteered. Everybody, seen Anne there last year, poor hubby, sort of dragged along to do it. But everybody only really wants to do the first sort of like couple of hours, and then sort of carry on into enjoying the party. So again, in terms of health and safety and looking after people, we really do need to have paid staff that remain on those gates. We always pay the artists, and we did apply to Dalton to help us with some of the local artist costs, but we didn't get that, so that's a shame. But we still always pay them. Nobody's doing it for free, so if we get the actors along from local theatre companies, we'll give a program to their groups. So we try and sort of make sure that everybody who comes along, they're either being paid or sort of they're getting a cut off. I mean, nobody's getting outrageous fees for this. Everybody's just doing it at a discount. The other thing, I think I can sort of mention it, but probably confirming this next week, but we're looking at combining with Bald Angels for part of the event. So similar to, I think, what was suggested here last time we appeared around, say, the North London coast and doing some combined co-promotions, which is happening. We're in each other's brochures, and we're going to be doing cross-promotion for each other's events in October, and through our social media as well. So similar to that, Bald Angels this year is the 10th anniversary of the big show, where they got the world record, 172 heads shaved in Kirikiri, for charity, and we're going to try and beat that. So we're going to do 500 heads. In terms of the stage, it just means that we're looking at a trailer stage, which is really so people can come on and come off. But it's about an hour. There will be music and DJs happening as well. But we think it's going to add an incredibly fun atmosphere. It doesn't stop us having, we'll still have all the stages and all the music. It's just that first kind of hour and a half or so will be the charity attempt, and then there will be hopefully many more heads.
Get a few more if we've had a drink.
You don't want to shake your head.
October, did you say?
November.
We don't November. Oh, it's getting warmer.
It's November.
Yeah, that's right, because I'm not shaving my head, so if you don't
I am.
that's the choice.
And the choice is you can go Catherine style, and they're going to be doing a massive hairspray as well. So those of us
not spraying.
natural. So I'll be doing the hairspray, doing the shaving ice. So I think that will encourage people to book in advance as well, which will be, because we will be limited to the amount of people.
And how many close off last time?
Yeah, and because we had to close off last time, it'd be great if people booked in advance, so because then we can plan a bit better. So we think actually there'll be some benefits for both of us, and it saves them having to set up a whole nother event structure elsewhere. So let's combine it and make it a bit of fun, and the community love it, and the businesses really do well out of it. So do you have any questions?
I don't.
Jax, hit me with the original reason not everyone will know why the street party sort of came about and what's the economic benefit of it for the community.
Yep. So it was established by local businesses to keep people in town for another night after the Keri half night. So that happens in the morning. People come from all over, fill up the accommodation around Keri and Paihia, and usually they would do the marathon and head off back to wherever. So this was devised to keep people for another night. So we close the streets at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, set it up, open it up at 5 o'clock. We run till about 9:30. The local restaurants and cafes will come out into the streets, local food vendors, all local wineries and craft beers will come along. So it's a great way to showcase everybody's the local produce to visitors to the region, and like I say, keeping everybody sort of like in town extra. So yeah, nice injection of extra dollars into the local businesses, and also just for the community, you know, sort of like everybody just seem to love it. So
Just refresh me, Jackie, you're running shuttles by here, okay?
yes. So and we did buses last year as well. So and we did a loop bus as that kind of goes up from Waipapa, sort of Old Pack House round Waipapa into town, so it's down Kapiro, London Road. So we advertised that loop, and it stops kind of where the school.
And is it well patronised? Is it being used?
Yep. So they were pretty full, sort of, you know. Some weren't, but you know, sort of again, it's because people leave it so late to book that I have to pull buses off sale probably like a day or two. I mean, Clark's are really good at holding on to them as long as they can, but we usually do get a lot of people coming in right at the last minute. So we try and sort of work out, well, do we need a shuttle bus or a 50-seater coach? So
it's not crossing with the cruise ship schedule or anything. It's been checked.
I haven't checked that yet, actually.
Yeah.
So, but usually it doesn't impact us because we're in the evening.
Yes, true.
So it's not ever been
last year.
Are you aware of the closure of the Brinduans, which is going to be the same weekend? You're aware?
Yeah.
So we gave it our best shot with NZTA, but
I saw that it was likely to happen.
yeah, they've now confirmed those dates.
Right, yes.
But just for the board, if you didn't know, when they reopened the Brinduan, it's a bit like painting your house. The first layer of seal went down, but you have to come back and put a second layer on of hot mix, and it's going to take 4 days. So there's a scheduled shutdown of Brinduans that weekend,
It's
which is
just that weekend.
there's 2 weekends. The next one is the 4th of November, so it's unfortunate. But as long as you're aware of it, you can plan for it.
4th of November.
Second one,
The
yeah.
second.
Yeah.
So, and the
Has
4th
to
and the
happen.
22nd. Yeah, I know. It's
No, and we can plan.
Yeah, I did see that. It's probably, you know, so, well, whether that will affect the people that are signing up for the marathon. That come from all.
We need to get some
quite
guidelines
online.
I'm seeing something. What dates then?
The weekend, it's a 4-day shutdown. The weekend of the 21st, 22nd of October is the first one, and then there's the second
We
one.
could work that to our advantage to get people to come up earlier and stay longer.
Yeah.
But it will impact the marathon.
Yeah, that's a shame.
And I think, Madam Chair, you do have the bypass that goes via Oakley Popper.
Yeah.
Yes.
That goes around that.
Yeah. So
We're
it's
going to
actually a
encourage
beautiful
everyone to
drive.
take the scenic route, aren't we?
Yeah, and maybe that's just a case if I'll talk to the marathon guys because that's going to impact them, but see what their comments are about it. But if that's sort of definite now, you're right, we just have to kind of say, take the scenic route. Are they putting everybody the Paparoa way rather than
No, you can go either way.
go the Waipu way?
And just some constructive feedback of someone who last year Jackie put out the call. She said, I need some volunteers. So I dragged my husband along and we were on the gate at the McDonald's end of town. 60, if you're 65 plus, it's free, but it caused this huge bottleneck at the gate.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to get out their ID to prove that they're 65. There was a lot of cash at the gate. I think that's a risk.
Yeah.
So if we could have security or someone take the cash away, I don't want to be robbed and you don't want to be robbed.
Yes.
So it was a problem. Putting the wristbands on people takes a long time. And the queue ended up streaming back past McDonald's, and the McDonald's people got grumpy.
Yes.
And came up and told us how grumpy they were.
They told me.
So I think a combination of volunteers and paid people is a good idea.
Yeah.
And if we can find a way to get more people through the gate faster, it's such a winning formula you've got going on. So
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Can I be
You're
the
absolutely-
Grinch? Can I be the Grinch? Have you thought about the entry price and whether we should be increasing it?
Make it 15 on the gate to try and encourage people to book in there. But yes, potentially, you know.
15 and 20, perhaps.
Yeah, you know. So
I mean, you're struggling to find cash.
it is hard to.
It might be difficult this year with the preservatives on top of it.
Don't
but
look
just a
online
thought.
when I put the $10 on. So
Yeah. I know.
As someone on the gate, everyone complained about the price. And I
Really?
thought it was really
Which is-
unfair.
It's
It's super
really
cheap for what you're getting.
And I think it's a classic example of people's perception of a community open space being closed and used for a private event, essentially, because there's a charge.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but in these tough times, people are even grinchier.
So there is, but then we did fill up, so people did come in, but and we do try to keep, sort of the under 14s as well, so it's not kind of getting, hugely expensive for family to come along, and but we're even in that, we're including the ticket charge as well, so if they book online, so they're, so if it's just $10 straight, we absorb the ticket fee. So, it's so damn cheap, and I don't know.
Yes, that's what I was saying. It's
Yeah.
But
What they
also,
get.
I'm backing Jack's up here because I remember when you posted about first charging $10 and the
Anyway, it's not our job.
Oh,
I'm just saying that it's not our job to decide it. It's your job. I just make a comment when you come
I
back
know,
for money and you scrabbling around. It's hard.
Yeah, and we do have to become financially sustainable, and so we do need to make sure that the health and safety is checked, and that's what the costs go towards. It's mainly that.
And Jackie, they talked about we've been talking about reducing traffic management fees for I don't know how many years, till we're blue in the face. Is there nothing happening in that space? They're just still talking about it?
Last year was 7. And it used to, I used to come in, I think the last time I came in here, it was 4,000, and now it's 7.
And in Liverpool, they've got 2 cones.
I know, and when you see that online, and the one in America where people died, they just had cones, and I'm just like, well, we don't do that. We have full traffic management, 1.8 metre high fences. Nobody is going to get in and cause any harm to anybody, and we have about 14 or 15 certified security on site, plus some, sort of paid crew, and plus first aid. So you can't not have those things. The quote last year for St John's was, for 2 people, was $2,600. And you used to be able to give them a $500 go park. So nothing's going down.
That's the cost. That's why events are becoming harder to do.
Yeah.
Just clarify, because my memory goes back to when there was a party and marathon and all the rest of it, and then it became too expensive. And people at the marathons said, the party was too expensive. Somebody decided, that we're going to have a street party, and it was going to break even. It's going to make some money. Does it make money now at all? Is there a profit?
Slight, sort of the costs were covered. So, but if you look at it,
I'm not trying to ask you the hard question. I love the party. I love the party and all the rest of it. No, I just think that sometimes we get a bit blurry between what we're funding.
Yeah.
And I've got no problem in supporting funding. But I think we have to be consistent about how we set what we're funding.
Well, it's in there. It's, what is it,
Yeah,
toilet
yeah.
stage and.
And you know, I'd actually be much more comfortable if I was funding street costs, but that's my only thing, is that, you know, that we seem to have blurred the line a little bit historically.
I guess it's, you know, over the years, if you look at it over the sort of 6 years that I've taken it on and kept it going, because the business associations didn't want to take a risk, then I've lost money. So, you know, sort of, and some years quite a lot, you know, sort of over $10,000. So if things get cancelled due to rain, so I'm not taking anything in the budgets for me, but I do kind of go, I'm happy to do it as long as expenses are covered, and you know, if there's a little bit left over, great, you know, sort of, but to get to that level is, so it's so yeah, you know, so I don't know what the answer is. If the business associations would like to take over again, grateful, wouldn't you?
Well, they were certainly the ones that tried initially when it was
They're the
when we were
beneficiaries.
going to cancel the party because
I'm going to declare that I'm a member of the business associations.
Yes, I
we knew that.
It actually comes down to, like most of our events, to facilitators and organisers like yourself, who are professional at doing it, and events are more likely to succeed if we have them organised.
Yeah,
and
do them properly,
and that gives us a degree of comfort when we're making our decisions and our funding applications as well. It's looking at, you know, whether it's blah blah marketing, whether it's, you know,
and we know you'll collaborate as well.
We know that events are going to succeed or highly likely to succeed when we're considering that. So, Jackie, take enough of your time. Thank you very much for coming back again.
Everybody.
Good to see you. And go and enjoy the day before the rain comes tonight. Oh, yes. Yeah, that's important. Yeah, exciting, eh? Jerry gave it a good plug the other night. Okay, so we're going to go to Tri-Oceans Education Trust on page 116, because we've got Catherine Guerin on the lecture. So Catherine, over to you. Karina, welcome. You've got 5 minutes.
Perfect. I'm hoping that the sound's working okay. Please tell me if you can't hear me. Apologies for being online and not there. This application comes from Tri-Oceans Education Trust due to a bit of a unique situation. We were in the process of opening a free community marine education centre for Northland, and unfortunately the fire on board the Tui on the 4th of June took away that original structure. It didn't dampen the dream, but it took the original structure. In the aftermath of that fire, we actually saw both heartbreak within the community, but also opportunity, and some really, really good conversations, both locally and wider, around what we were trying to achieve and why and how the collaboration could continue. So as a result of that, we looked to our original funder, which was Foundation North, who had funded us $300,000 for the renovation of the TUI. And they have honoured that funding on the condition of us being able to find further funding to actually rebuild or find a new location or look to a new way to achieve the Marine Education Centre. And we're incredibly grateful for that. It comes with a timeline, and so we're aware that we need to move somewhat quickly, but we want to do a really good process. So having cleaned up the devastation of the fire, we started conversations with our neighbours, the Waitangi Marae, as well as wider, as to what this could look like. Our application to you today related to doing a collaborative planning, consenting and design process, so that we can actually tick those boxes, one, to help us get further funding for the bill, but two, to also honour what we heard through those conversations. We heard shared dreams of having the community marine education space, which is what our background is, alongside aspirations for things like waka armor storage, for having the ability to have a cafe that allows another business to prosper and thrive in the same facility around a shared education classroom space that could be used by many groups. And what we'd like to do is see this, what was a bit of a devastating situation, be an opportunity to redo our consent process, to look at minimizing some of the impact that the original structure inherently came with in terms of, for example, access over the neighbouring reserve, and look at a redesign and way that it can still be disability accessible without being major impact on the whenua, but also look at what our community wants to see in a structure there under the resource consent that we had originally. So quite a unique application. I know it's very different to the events that you've heard about today, but one where we feel if we had the right opportunity, we could really run a really good community process and recover what we heard of a lot of devastation within the community of something that they were really proud of and we're excited to see brought back to its former glory. And maybe we can look to a future option where we can be proud again of something that stands there and benefits our community and moves forward with not only our marine education dream, but also a wider dream across the board. So thank you. I won't talk for too long. I'll let there be some questions as well.
Thank you, Catherine. Anybody have any questions?
Jane.
Catherine, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit confused over what it is that obviously the vessel. Are you looking at another vessel or building something on the seabed, or what exactly are you thinking of? What's
Sorry, it's a little hard to hear, but I think the question was, what exactly are we looking for? Are we looking to put another vessel or another structure? Was that what the question was?
Application has which is no longer there, so I wasn't sure what you're looking to get consent for.
Yeah, so what we have currently, so we have a resource consent in place for a structure on the sea floor, so in that maritime space. We had applied for building consent, granted building consent for the renovations of the original structure, and had also applied for a resource consent that related to the neighbouring reserve because the ramp access was over the neighbouring reserve as part of the original process. So we're aware we'll need to revisit all three things. What we're looking to build, we really want that to be a collaborative process. We know the spaces we want to see, but by way of example, one of the conversations that came up on the marae was possibly building in the same footprint of the original TUI, which was already a whole mashup of 3 or 4 different boats and bits and pieces that Kelly Tartan had found over the years. So in that spirit, build in the footprint, but maybe build more of like a stable wharf structure that had less impact on pippy beds, and then bringing that more in line with the design of the aspirations of the neighbouring marae, and bring it more as a less of a Western image and more of an identity of community now here in Waitangi. So what exactly it looks like, we didn't want to predetermine that. We wanted that's part of the money we've applied for, to work with an architect and hear that feedback and work through exactly what it looks like.
We did asking us to fund the new design. You're asking us to fund the design.
Yeah, so the 35,000 we'd applied for included doing the architect designs as well as doing the consenting process, i.e. amending our existing resource consent for the structure in the maritime space, because that was linked to the original plans, as well as then the consents for building consent and the resource consent with the neighbouring reserve, because that last one will particularly be one where trying to get disability access to allow this for the whole community. And the way the boat was originally built, there was a lot of ramp structure. And actually, one of the opportunities we see through this process is being able to look instead to something like an internal lift and minimizing our impact on that neighboring reserve. So we don't have all the answers as to exactly what the building would look like, because we don't want to preempt that process. We really want it to be a community-driven aspect. And through the fire, we actually recovered the original mast, wheel, and rudder of the TUI structure. And one of the first conversations was, do we do a memorial there? But more and more, we've heard that people really want to see something that's useful, that provides opportunity and growth as well for other businesses, not just our trust. And so incorporating those elements as well back into the building.
Thank you.
Thanks. You applied to lotteries, community facility grant. Have you had any feedback from them? You want 550,000.
Yeah, so the expected feedback timeline is early September for that grant. It was a quick turnaround for us, but was encouraged strongly by Foundation North, who have been amazing at honouring their original funding. And they are talking to each other. So Foundation North and lotteries are talking back and forth about the project. But we won't actually hear an outcome on that until September. One of the early indications they did make is that if we were already underway with the plans and consenting process, that would strengthen that application as well as any future applications if we had to look for alternate funding for the rebuild. Unfortunately for us, we spent all this money first time round doing this already just last year, and are unable to fund that part of the process ourselves. So we're in a bit of a holding pattern.
2 questions. You're the Tri-Ocean Education Trust. What's your relationship with Tri-Oceans Limited? I see they're a main funder, so they're obviously like a corporate entity that is somehow intertwined with this.
Yes, so intertwined to an extent. So Tri-Oceans Ltd originally set up in 2015, and through their workings found they were doing a lot of charitable activities under the company. And so what they did, and I'm not a part of the LTD, I'm only a part of the trust. What they did was set up a trust, so it's not explicitly linked, it carries the same names because we do very similar things, and all the charitable activities under the LTD moved to the trust, and the trust runs now independently. The reason the LTD is involved is the LTD originally purchased the TUI and then leased it on a 100-year lease to the Education Trust. They have lost that original money of the purchase, but the trust was the one who was going to continue to run the education centre, making it a free entity, not a business proposition going forward.
And then I guess...
Interject here really quickly. Sorry, my name is Thibault. I'm the director of Tri-Oceans Ltd. Very happy to also answer any further questions there.
No, I think that sort of explains it for me. I guess my other question, unrelated to that, was you've said that you've had a lot of community feedback about a real want to see this educational, whatever it might be, in place there. Have you done some sort of formal consultation, or where have you got that information from?
So in the very early days, this has been an 11-year venture for us. There's been a lot of conversations over the years. In the early days, there was several who we held. We held then 3 different events on board the TUI in its sort of original state to look at what should we do, what are the plans. Additionally, through the public consultation process on the Bay of Islands Marine Mammal Sanctuary, one of the big themes that came out was a want for marine education that was accessible to our community, that didn't require a tourism ticket to understand what was actually going on. And then really close work with the Bay of Islands Marine Mammal Raupu, and then consultation on the marae as well. In fact, the last photo I have on board the TUI was with the chair of Waitangi Marae, blessing the project going forward. So there's been lots of those conversations prior to the fire. And then actually during the fire, process itself, which was obviously an overwhelming event, but one of the really positive things that came out of it was just how many people walked up and talked to us about what they'd like to see in their aspirations. And we also had a hui on the marae as well as the potpourri for the site, and after that a really long conversation about what the marae aspirations were. So it's been a whole combination of different things. We attend a lot of community events, and we always have a feedback questionnaire as part of that as well, because our whole vision was we're big marine geeks and we know what we like to talk about, but we really wanted to hear what other people want to see. And that's where the idea of making sure it had disability access, for example, was a huge one, because the structure had never previously had it. So we'd included that in our original designs, and we'd want to include that again, because a big theme was if people can't get out on boats or are restricted in their ability to get on board get out into the ocean to learn about it, that there should be a space where they can learn about it safely on land, and that was something we were trying to achieve.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Kia ora, Kat, Tivone.
Sorry.
Being the board member on site with the TUI. I just want to acknowledge the amount of work that you done in that space and the way that everything was arranged to return that space back to the community boards in the way that it is today. I was really expecting a big mess when I got there, and I seen everything. You've done an absolutely beautiful job in that space and returning it back to the board. Ngā mihi.
Kia ora, Roddy. Thank you very much, and your support through the process was valuable. No, it was very important to us. It was a no-brainer. We knew there would be a cost, but first and foremost, we needed to return the site back the way it should be, so including removing all the concrete blocks and everything. So with this proposal, we're starting from scratch. We know that, but we wanted to do the right thing by the space and not leave an artifact there until we'd worked out what happens next.
Great, thank you, Catherine. Thanks for joining us online. We'll make our decision later in the day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So next we have up Okaho College, page 80, and we've got Harold Weber.
Morena. I'm Phil Weber. I do all finance and property at Okaho College. And whilst I work there, this application is not on behalf of the college. I need to make that clear to you. Okaho School and Districts is holding a 150th reunion for the schools and contributing schools that have been in the area for 150 years. It will be held in October, Labour weekend of this year. And we have, over 150 years, had 23 kura that have contributed to that area. I think we have about 5 that remain. We are budgeting on 435 visitors to our kura. That is because that is our fire number regulation for our school board. Okaho College is going to host it on the ground, but they're not going to support us with funding. So 3 of us from the school are on the committee, and we have 5 others from contributing schools and that are helping us organise the festival and event. Whilst we are budgeting on 435 guests, at the moment our ticket sales are only about 100. So whilst that is unfortunate, our expenses don't decrease. And you can see what we've applied for are the bare basics of life. They are security, they are traffic management plan, hireage of toilets, hireage of tables and rubbish bins and disposal of that rubbish after the event. The remaining costs we are hoping to fund out of our ticket sales. They are slowly chipping away, but I guess for the Kerikeri Bay of Islands and surrounding areas, there's going to be a flow-on effect of our event because there's going to be accommodation and people visiting the area. We know that some are coming international. We have a few tickets that have been purchased international, and the remaining are from within Aotearoa. Our tickets are for sale through the Eventbrite process, so we automatically lose a percentage of our ticket sales when we sell them, but that is the best way for us to keep a control and a hold on what needs to happen for that event. The event is going to be on the Friday afternoon of Hawkere. That will consist of Okaiho College School Roll and the Okaiho Primary School across the road students. Then we will head into a mix and mingle evening between 6 and 10 p.m, which we are applying for a liquor licence tomorrow to the council for that event. We have tech security and traffic management because the little town of Okaiho cannot handle all those cars, and if a stock truck comes through, which we have a base depot down the road, we have a problem with traffic and health and safety. Saturday morning, we are going to be opening Mangamoka School, Whangaroa School, Horiki School, and Okaiho Primary and Okaiho College. So if you went to school there in the past, you can actually go back and visit where you spent your childhood or part of your childhood. We are going to contribute to those schools through our ticket sales and our funding, we hope, for Kai and expenses that those small schools will be having to fund and come up with. They don't get any of the money from the ticket sales, that's coming to us to fund the event. Then on the Saturday afternoon from 5 o'clock till 9, we're going to do a street party at Okaiho College for all that have bought tickets to be there on site. We have a one-man band booked, and we're going to have our alcohol licence with our bar running that night as well. On the Sunday morning, there's going to be a service for planting of rocks and memorial at our school marae. And then after that, there is going to be a golf tournament, which they will buy their own tickets if they choose to go and play that at Okaiho Golf Club. So we can see that there is going to be a spin-off to the community. We're hoping our numbers do rise because, as I've just said, our costs are not going to decrease with the numbers that we've got on bums on seats. And so any support that your community board could give us would be gratefully received and very much appreciated and used wisely. You know, traffic management and security is, well, nearly $6,000. And whilst our numbers are decreasing, are decreased to what we are budgeting on, the explanation we've been given is that if you need to have somebody on the street saying stop, then you actually need to have a traffic management plan in place. We get that, but we need to have some support and some funding assistance for that to be able to have that to happen. Yeah, that's where we're at. We're just we're chipping away. Yeah, question.
Have you applied to the Kaikoui?
Yes, we have. We're going there tomorrow. Yeah.
Who backs this? If this doesn't make enough money, who pays for it?
Well, that's a conversation I took to the committee meeting 2 weeks ago, because I see it's the 8 of us at the table.
Right.
That doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
Or the other 7 that are with me. But it's Okaiho School and District 150th Reunion. None of the other schools, like I say, are contributing. We're going to be actually paying them a whole half of their costs for the Saturday morning that schools are open. So it's actually on us. You know, the numbers say we don't get the 435. We pray that we do. We still have to hire the tables. We still have to do, you know, the security. Yes, our alcohol costs will drop that we're going to purchase, and our sales will we have to cover the costs of that. So that's an in and an out. That doesn't really feature in anything else that we are applying for. Toilets still have to be hired. The rubbish bin, the rubbish still has to go.
Talk about alternatives, perhaps instead of having to close the street.
Well, Okaiho Settlers Way is a very narrow two-way road, and if you have cars parked on either side of the road, which we have most school days around schools, it is literally a health and safety issue.
No, but what about having the event in a?
It is. It's in our school hall.
When they drive up.
It's when they're parking and when they drive up to Okaiho.
And who's told you that you have to have that traffic management?
Kia Tupatu, who are the traffic management security.
The provider is the one who said.
No, bearing in mind that we did the Tautokoro Festival last year and you guys were amazing and helped us funding with that as well. And we had to have it then, we had a lot bigger numbers.
Yeah.
But I know from that event itself, we are setting ourselves up for an issue if we don't get them down the other side street and park on the back rugby field and try and keep our main road
from the car
area.
park into the school.
It's just such a huge cost. Eh?
It is a huge cost, but one, you know, if we say we sit at 150, we're going to have the conversation that we don't do the traffic management plan, but then we are also exposing ourselves if there was to be an issue. We can put some staff on in the dark to get, you know, in the evening to park on the rugby field, but then if anything was to happen, how do we live with ourselves? It doesn't sit very well with us. And actually, we've already been told that actually we do need to have a traffic management plan.
Spoken to the Kirikiri High School organisers of the last year's, they had a reunion.
We've been talking with, not with Kiri High, we have been talking with others, but we also ran a very successful Tautokoro Festival at the school last year, and we had up to 10,000 people on site.
Yeah, I was just thinking of numbers that attended that one at last minute, might give you an indication.
Yeah, there won't be people attending last minute at our school because they have to have a band, wristband. It has to be prior purchase.
Yeah, but I mean then the week before.
Yeah, tickets are actually closing off for us. So, I mean, there's always going to be the odd one that's going to want to purchase a ticket. We get that, they're always going to take their money, but the reason why we've set a cut-off date is so we do know what numbers we need for, you know, like kai, pōwhiri, seats. Yeah.
So bearing in mind accommodation won't be at the event.
No, it won't be.
If you hit your numbers of 435, you could have a problem over Labour weekend anyway.
That's right.
Because we are hundreds of bed nights down due to change of use from travelers accommodation to residential. So that in itself could be an issue. And like Jane said, have you considered looking at shuttle versus the horrendous expense of traffic management? Bearing in mind most people would be staying probably in around Kitty.
Oh, definitely something we can look at. Absolutely, the shuttle's a great idea. One that we had
fast coach lines are very community minded, being, you know,
I think
being local.
And I also think some of our visitors will stay on local marae, but there will be a flow off into local areas.
Yeah, like a pick up at designated times.
That's
like
right.
a whole BB that's
right.
to do traffic management.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways to get cats.
Yeah, I know.
Any further questions?
Yeah, well, I so do it. How did you come up with the number of 450 attendees?
435, that's our fire regulation and our license.
Oh, that's your max capacity.
That's your maximum capacity. So that's not based on expressions of interest or voice associations saying.
We've done completely of our fire regulation on our school hall because the mix and mingle on the Friday night and the event on the Saturday night is going to be, the hall is going to be set up and then behind it we've got our security fencing for a street party on the Saturday night. So it will flow between the two, but we will not have any more than 435, including the committee that are organising it. We are part of that 435 regulation. Same as our halls.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And
Thank
all the
you.
best
Thank you.
with the event.
Thanks, Phil.
150 years, quite a milestone.
That's great.
Right, moving on. We don't have Robin Toro here, do we?
Yes.
No, we are still online. It's just we didn't need to be on screen for it. So, Jerry, have you recovered from the fabulous night? This is the centre application on page 104.
Yay,
Welcome
look
to you.
at you, no pressure.
I'd like to congratulate you for a fabulous evening Saturday. I thoroughly enjoyed.
Thank you, Belinda. Thank you for being there, representing the community.
And Amy, I believe, is here too. So you
Morena kia koutou. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to tell you about Tangihanga, which is a play, a one-woman play by Crystal Neho, who's from down actually the Hawke's Bay area. It's a show called Tangi Hanga, which I went to see in March this year. And I was cracking up laughing. I was crying. I learned so much about the Tangi tradition, which actually reminded me a lot of the Irish wake. And so I've worked with Mania over in the Hokianga and Tiahu up in Kaitaia to be able to bring Crystal up here with her show, to be able to perform around the far north. Again, one of the things we're trying to create more of a network so that, you know, not just Kitty is lucky enough to be able to see these sort of shows, but we spread the love around. And I know that the artists and the other venues are really, you know, appreciating this approach. So the show itself, Crystal's father was an undertaker, and she estimates that she's been at 1,000 tangi over her life, and she's only in the early 30s, so it gives you a bit of an idea about how she grew up. The show explores the intricacies of whānau relations, of identity, and cultural traditions. And again, it's one of our priorities and objectives here at the centre is to book more Māori shows on the stage, and also to be able to get youth in to be able to learn and to be able to watch these. So we're going to be putting on a free show for tamariki and rangatahi over 10, and then an evening show for the general public. I'd like to acknowledge the community board support. I did this on Saturday night, but also again now today. Over the last year, we have been able to give away 5,000 free or pay what you can tickets to our tamariki and rangatahi in the area. And a big part of that is thanks for the community board funding, and we'll continue to tell that story because it's really important at a time when some people think you can squash funding for such activity. It's really important for our youth to be able to have access, and also our locals, you know. So in terms of the free show for the matinee show for the schools, we've already approached over 70 kura Māori organisations. We've already had Okaiha College confirmed, Whangaroa College, Broadwood area school, so it's had good traction so far. And that's pretty much a summary of the event.
She didn't say that she does 30 characters.
Oh yeah, sorry. So the show itself, Crystal, she's like one of the top actors I've seen in the country. She plays 30 different characters. She plays like the nosy old aunties who are gossiping. She plays her father. She plays the uncles. She plays the young cousins who's just, you know, identified as non-binary, and the oldies are trying to get their head around this. So, and the way she swings between the characters, and it's just powerful. And again, as I said, I was laughing, crying, and you know, there's awkward moments. There's all the different emotions. So I think it's one that our community will love. It'll resonate with a lot in our community, and also a lot of people will learn about a tradition that they might not already know about. So, yeah.
Just one show, is it, Jerry? Sorry, it's on the 16th of October.
It's the two shows here: the matinee show for the schools, and then a public show that evening. But as I mentioned, she's also going to the Hokianga, to Mania, in the show in Kaikohi, and also up to Tiahu as well. Both of the other community boards have also funded this need too. So it's I'm working with her to try and just create this network. So once we get these acts up here in Brisbane.
When are you going to bring it to Kororaraku? We have a lovely town.
Well,
200 people can sit in it, and it sounds like a play that we would get plenty of crowds out to watch.
All I need is a contact over there that's sort of active in the promotion.
She died, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a bit of ironical, isn't it?
I know.
Once we've got the right person in that community that we can talk to and help bring
Would you like me to put some feelers out? Because I mean, if I could help put it on in the town hall, would that be viable?
Yes.
I'm on the town hall committee.
Yes.
Because I'm a community board member.
Completely. You know,
No conflict. She just wants to see the show.
But I think there is an
opportunity because we can't get to the town centre for evening performances because you can't get back for the last ferry. And you know, there's lots of
really. Road's still open.
I drove it after.
You come to the kids show.
I don't want to drive this route.
Listen, Jane, I think there's an opportunity.
I think so.
Going
we'll
forward.
take this offline, but I will be in touch.
Jerry, shining that.
You've asked us for 6,000.
Light, Jerry.
Thank you, Anne.
You've asked us for 6,000. The recommendation here today is
For 3?
how crucial is that, do you feel, to the success? I see that you have asked us for the fee.
For this show, it really is crucial because I don't have any other programming budget for this show at the moment. I'm still on the hustle up and down the street and within the community to try and find more programming budget for this coming year. At the moment, I have secured some for some other shows, but not for this show. So it means if we weren't to get the full amount, we would actually lose money. I guess the issue is you can't wait till you've got the funding approved to organise things, otherwise things wouldn't happen and the performers won't sit around. And because we've been working closely with the other two venues, Te Ahu and Mania, we had to fight the bullet and move forward. So to actually get the full 6,000 for this show, it would mean that we don't lose money going into it. Again, we're putting our neck out a bit by programming shows like this. So yeah, we would appreciate if you would consider the full amount for this particular show. I think it's a really important show to put on for our community. And again, with the themes that are running through it and the opportunity for our youth as well, it will really mean a lot to the community.
Just you touched. How many school kids do you think will be coming along to the show yet?
Well, we have the full theatre, so it's up to 400, but we have kind of allowed for up to 130. So it's really good. I think we've got 70 or 80 confirmed so far from those 3 colleges, and but we've got the full theatre there if we can, we can fill it. Yeah, cool. Good.
No further questions? Well,
thank you very much.
Shout out downstairs later on in the meeting.
Well, thank you. Have a good rest of the day.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
So that brings us to the end of our funding application speakers, and we'll now move into the agenda. Item 6.1, confirmation of the previous minutes. I'll move that Valence Whangaroa Community Board confirm the minutes of the meeting on the 27th of June and the 10th of July are a true and correct record. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Lane. Any discussion? Put that to the vote. All those in support? Against? Carried. Moving on to item 7.1 on page 18. And, Chairperson members' reports. That the Bay of Islands Whangaroa Community Board note reports from Chair Villan's Ward, Deputy Chair Lane Eyre and Member Jane Hindle. Mover. Jane, second Tyler. The amendments. Oh, sorry. Any discussion, questions around my gosh? I'm tired today. Any questions around my report?
Yes, Madam Chair. I'm interested in the being property and the tree felling and stuff. This is a very course access. It's meant to be like 2 months or 6 weeks, and it's now August. Why? And you've not got any responses to why it's still closed. It says no construction management plans be submitted and no time frame to schedule work for the
Yes, so that's on. There's been no update since then,
which seems not very good.
No.
The public access was quite. There's quite a lot of traffic on the Facebook page that of
there's
grumpy
been
people.
some questions on social media
Yeah.
about when and why it isn't open. There's a bit of talk around the property. Yeah. We're kind of in limbo at the moment. We haven't had any.
But we were asked to approve the closure based on the tree felling.
Yes, and they haven't reopened it.
And it was meant to be 3 months.
They didn't complete the tree felling. They haven't completed it.
Why not?
Why do people stop doing it?
They run out. I don't know, but I mean, the community can't access a facility.
I think there was also an issue with flood because of constant rain over a period because they're getting vehicles in.
It looks like they're set.
I just think it's important if the community board kind of closes off something.
Well, I do think it's something I need to follow up on because
well, you are, I can see, but there's still.
Well, I just feel before we know it, it'll be summer, it'll be Labour weekend, and everybody will want to be going swimming and heading off from there. And it's a really popular local spot. And to be inconvenienced like this, and it's going to sit like this, then I'm not sure. I'd have to have a look into their consents and things to see. But normally they're alive for quite some time. They've commenced works, so unless anybody knows anything, I'll take it back and follow up again to see what's going on.
Nothing concrete,
Certainly not good enough.
just the rumours around.
No, it's just that
There are lots of rumours.
there's lots
Yeah.
of things, and that's why I'm asking, because on Facebook, because I see the people commenting on Facebook. And,
Yes, and I think our Bush Telegraph's alive and well.
yeah, and we were the ones that put out the thing saying it's going to be closed for this amount of time. And
So thanks for that, Jane. I will
looking to give you more work.
Any other questions for my report? Thank you. RFS is closed. One or two I've left in there. There's historical ones that seem to be in too hard basket for whatever reason, but hopefully now that we have quarterly delivery and operation date and rhythm in the team, we'll be able to make some traction on some of these outstanding issues and workshops that I've been requesting. Moving on, Lane, the London letter.
Just as a verbal, I have had some movement. There's been that outstanding situation with regards to the domain. We have had some correspondence, and I was asked to provide the names of groups that should participate in the committee to run them. So it's close.
Step by step, day by day, eh?
Yes, I think. Yeah. The process may well outlast me.
Before October.
So that was a little bit lost in the but now sits with problems.
Yes. Yes.
So she,
I responded to her. I think I covered you. Yes.
so she's after a few more names.
Yeah.
So that's good. So it actually it was just process and getting on to her in the right. I mean, it took a phone call with myself and then Lane following up with an email to actually start to resolve it. And there's no reason why it can't be resolved, but why we can't get a management committee in place. We know, well, Lane knows all the key people and the players who are interested, and everyone who's been involved from the reserve management plan engagement and consultation process right through. So it shouldn't be too difficult.
It was always a thing of bringing it back to community as opposed to council, per se. And I think everyone agreed, the resource management report agreed that it should be community based.
And the two can be dealt with separately. I think the urgency right now is to get that management committee in place and then decide whether it stays district-wide and comes down, which is an exclusion in our delegations of community, whether it comes back to us, or to us, I should say, which can, it's getting that committee in place so that the activities that take place, it's like our kitty can get their stage up and running, and, then it'll all be about getting the activities moving and going and having the appropriate body of people making decisions for the bookings and what sort of activities are appropriate and what they see in line with the management plan. So hopefully, before Lane departs this team, we will have a committee in place. That's the plan. Jane, any questions for Jane?
Where are you at with the strain?
Well, we had a council meeting on the 31st. I don't know if anybody was aware, but one of the big issues was that the recommendation to the community board and subsequently to council was that they would basically kick the can down the road in terms of resolving the obstacles in Cass Street.
think the community are relatively comfortable with the shared space and the restricted traffic, but people do want to see changes in Cass Street due to disability and stuff like that. And the recommendation didn't really seek to address that. I was grateful to one of our community members, Emily Rust, who gave a very impassioned plea to get it sorted. And I, fortunately, in my presentation, had pictures of what she was talking about. And Moko basically said, we will get this sorted. So we did get a recommendation to, subject to this board approving the funding for the project, to go ahead and get it redesigned, which is what everybody wants. So we need it done by Christmas for obvious reasons. So I handed over to Manuela to take over the traffic management work group. Hope when I come back, they will have made a start. But we're still a bit stuck with council's transport limbo at the moment.
Anyway, Jane came in and did a deputation at council, which I just say actually speaks 1,000 words, and I think that two councillors here present can comment, and thank you, Anne, for your involvement too in the wording and helping to move ahead with that. I think it's really great when community board members come to council and do deputations, because, and particularly the slideshow that Jane put up, because it showed, you know, the full thorough commitment to the process, and that the process, even though it was long and slow-winded there yet, that it has worked, and having people on the ground in the community driving these things and involved in them is how they succeed. So I think the only other thing perhaps would be the canon.
The erosion, which is also on there. So we have made good progress there. So the placemaking project identified what was called beach access as one of our projects. We couldn't deal with that without dealing with the erosion. So in fact, we funded some reports, expert reports, and they've just come back. And that will enable us to look at, we're looking at a short-term emergency fix for the cannon and near Butterfish, which are the two areas where it's severe. And then there's a longer term solution which needs to be worked through with the community. So that's all kind of just happening now. The reports have only just come back, and we're just looking at the timing of when we've got a bit of a stakeholder group, and then we'll talk to them about how we then go to the community. It's quite a big project, a bigger project, but we have got a commitment from council to do some emergency works on the foreshore by the cannon and Butterfish.
Just ask Jennifer. Is there still 2 fuel tanks on
Yes. Yes.
And that's close to Butterfish, isn't it?
No, that's the other side of
Oh, it's the other side.
Yeah. So one of the issues with the cannon, one of the biggest issues with the cannon, was the town hall roof water was just pouring off. So the whole bank has been completely swollen. So there was a degree of urgency. They finally got it fixed. When they got it fixed, they did a really good job, and it's very thorough and it's working. In fact, today I emailed the owner of one of the buildings further down, which is causing the other one, and said, hello, remember this conversation? How are you getting on with diverting your overflow water into stormwater? Give me an update, please. So we're just working through that process.
So the town hall water went out to the beach.
It flowed across the road, and that's what's caused the softening of the foreshore by the cannon, because it's so sodden because of the piles of water. So that's now addressed. We're getting there.
Very fortunate that Jane will be back on the Bay Island.
Jane's having a 5-week holiday because she is exhausted.
Because she'll be able to continue that placemaking project and see it right through, and then probably have a street party without an expensive road closure.
I know. We don't need to close the road.
Any further questions for Jane? No? Okay, so I've got the report moved, Jane, seconded by Tyler. All those in support? Against? It's carried. Moving on to item 7.2, the Waihe Village Green Arts and Crafts Guidelines for 2025-26. I'll move the recommendation that the Bay of Islands Whangaroa Community Board approve the Waihe Village Green Art and Crafts Market Guidelines 2025-26. What? I'll call for a seconder.
You've got a hand up there.
Seconder. Tyler, thank you. And I just would like to add or query, Kim Claire, thank you, as the report writer. I note that there were only 2 changes. Here, and I have here, I've written down amendment and omission. So I've got on page 31 of our agenda, item under E7, should that read 1st of September 2025? Yeah, and the other thing I picked up on was, I noted that Business Bay of Islands name had been corrected. The other thing that I wanted to just ask and query whether or not it's council policy at this point, under J on page 33, we've got that there is no smoking / alcohol, no alcohol. Should we have no smoking, no vaping? Do we have the vape policy, no policy? Okay. So we can't include that. That was the only thing I picked up on. Thanks, Kim. It seemed just the change of the season and Business Bay of Islands. Cruise ships. Yes. So any discussion around the talk? Hi, Robin, I note you there. You don't have speaking rights. Yeah, you could have come in the public forum prior. Sorry, I can't hear.
I don't get answers from non-public forums, so I thought maybe if I came to my community, they might listen. I'm not disagreeing with your approval of this notice. I just operate in those of the contract. I think it's time we had a discussion about the contract itself, and I can't get too much to talk. And for the information of the board, the numbers of passengers coming in this year are down 42%.
We've got that information. Yeah.
So there's a huge burden that's going on that retail community. And you know that because nobody cares. It has only $50 and the takeaway must go for a lot of it is on those higher stays we get. It's simply unfair. No other local authority in the country does this to us. I don't know if you're aware, and if we can find some other way of the community to address this issue, please tell me. We can go directly to the mayor. There's a contract in place that needs to be assessed.
Thanks, Robin. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the meeting this year. I had another commitment up at Waitangi.
Supposed to go to that meeting. And it's supposed to be strategic. So everything about it is rough. I'm not talking about the meeting. We asked if the numbers could be reduced. We asked if it could be reduced to only 6 months a year. We started by writing to you way back in March saying it's going to be actually increased in terms of hardware so we can wean the focus of it, and but nothing will actually do anything to change this. And we are looking at a huge downturn next year. And you're going to see in the shops. I have no idea. For your information, I just bought one piece of paper. From my maritime shop, I received $68.50 in incomes. Now, I pay $200 every day in rent. These people come and pay in that one shop. These people come and pay $50 a year on the best days of the year. I've got over $400,000 worth of income for employment in that community. It should be more, but it can't be because of nothing. And so we need an overall assessment, not of this contract that is in place, but we'll need to have an overall assessment outside the community board, back to the council, and I want to buy something. Or if you would do it for us, because section 41.3 of your requirements under section 48K say you will identify and communicate to the unitary authority, which is the council, the interests and preferences of the people in its local board in relation to context of its strategy, policy, plans, reliability. And so this is not happening. We have been complaining for year after year after year. Nobody listens to us, simply says there's a contract. Well, the contract's been changed. So that, I'm sorry, that's all I want to say. There's any feedback from anybody. I'm Robin Stent, and I'm
okay, Robin, we'll acknowledge that. Thank you.
Will it be recorded?
Pardon?
Will it be recorded?
No, it won't be, but we but we can follow up on it. We are live streaming. There was a member of the business association at the meeting.
The business association several years ago when they passed an unlawful support of the AGM, it was never actually being removed from the minutes. So most people aren't from the business association. I know the business association and she has changed to a little. You can't afford it. It's terrible. Anyway. So you can have a conversation at any time.
Noted.
Thank you.
Okay, so any questions for the report, any comments on the report? Moved myself, seconded Tyler. All those in support? All those with that amendment? Against? It's carried.
Madam Chair, will there be a review next year?
There's a review annually.
But obviously the review didn't change anything.
Well, you can have a talk offline with Kim if you like, who actually ran the meeting, because I wasn't there, so I can't comment. I've only got the emails, correspondence, and what came out of the meeting. I did have one follow-up phone call from one person who was at the meeting, and now the guidelines which everybody agreed to. There was a side discussion around doing other things in the green at the same time, but totally separate.
It sounds like some mediation is required.
It's been like this for quite some years, though. It's not. I held a public meeting, was it last year? Kim, or the year before, to get everybody together so that everyone could voice their concerns. And like anything in a community, majority rules. So,
Question, Madam Chair. Was that lady at the meeting?
No. Under the retailers group, but there was a retailers representative present. Okay, so moving on, project funding reports, item 7.3, page 37. And on Whangaroa Community Board, note the project reports received on A, Matariki Glow Show, B, Tito Tokara Whakahaka Festival, C, Ken Kitty Christmas 2024, and Pearl Trust. Do I have a mover? No, that's close. Any comments on those? They seem to be acknowledged.
The Power Trust is not even ours.
Yes, it was.
Was it?
Yeah, she did movies at Moriwa as well as in Rawa.
Yeah, she's done that over there at
Oh, right. Okay.
at Simpson Park.
I don't monitor the acknowledgements that
There was really none
on
from the
social media.
There was really none from the at the festival.
There wasn't.
I checked all of the Facebook and stuff. There was
Well, that's disappointing.
lots of pictures of Kapapaka and no acknowledgements.
The movie they acknowledged that the board. I know them because I don't attend, but my children all
It's
this.
fine.
And they came making oh, they're talking about the board there.
Our board or yeah. So they didn't.
But I don't think the Kapapaka Festival, I couldn't see anything that acknowledged the music board. And I went to there was a photo area where all the photographs were there. And then there was their Facebook page, but there's nothing I could see on their Facebook page at all.
They did have a hard copy program, I believe, that they gave out that had all of the board's logos on that. I don't
should
have a copy of it.
encourage them to send them in so we can feel
I do
reassured.
know that Councillor Rakana went and he's very hot on acknowledging
Good for him.
funding, and he went, yes, they acknowledged us, so it was
Good.
Nice to be acknowledged. Okay. Move Lane, second of Bruce, all those in support, against, carried. I think we might just have a 10-minute break for a coffee and toilet. We could pause our live stream, please, before we do our funding applications. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. We're up to item 7.4, our funding applications, and we will take these individually. First one, that the Bay of Islands Whangaroa Community Board approve the sum of $3,500 plus GST if applicable be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Friends of Northland Dance for cost towards costumes for the Christmas 2025 Showcase Festival. Do I have a mover? Lane and Tyler, thank you. Just noting that they requested $7,662. You'll see on page 52.
They've also just been awarded the dolphin funding.
Yeah, not the full amount they
No.
were, but
7,000.
7.5, and they apply for 10, is that
Yeah.
right? Any discussion around this? Lane is mover.
Oh, I think it's really grassroots stuff for us. I mean, it's children, it's families, it's a proven activity. I probably have some reservations that they should get their locations cheaper, but we won't have that discussion, so I support it, Chair.
Yeah, I mean, I support it too. I think if you couldn't pick up from my line of questioning, I think it's a crime that it doesn't get some of the funding to support. You know, we've had the discussion before about how this community does things for boys, it seems like, but not as many for girls. You know, I don't know if that's a fair comment, but I think it is. And I think this is our opportunity to do that, right? So I definitely support it. I also really like that they're trying to become a bit of a central organisation that then supports other dance groups to do what they do as well, which means we get double bang for our buck with our money.
Yeah.
Jane. Madam Chair, is it worth considering foreshadowing an amendment to increase that amount a little bit?
Lane is
a little bit.
mover.
I'm just throwing that out there.
I'm open to discussion on it. I think the amount recommended is appropriate for the activity.
I'm just.
What have you got in mind, Jen?
Oh, I was thinking probably 4.5, just a little bit more, but.
If you look what they are asking for, it's actually costumes, including seamstress, 7,662. So you could go up to half of the 50% of the what's that, about 3.8 something. 3.9. We can make an out of policy decision. Not something I would encourage you to do.
But the total cost of the event.
Total cost of the event, but they're asking 50%. I mean, I'm just looking at if you were to give them 50% of the costumes, but they did ask for 766.
Anyway, I'll leave it with Tyler and. I just thought I would mention that it seemed a little stingy. It wasn't even 50%.
At the risk of being stingy, I think I'll go with the recommendation.
Yeah, I don't know. How would you feel about moving?
Dragging, kicking and screaming, Madam Chair, I think I will change.
It's closer to 50%.
Yeah, it is. It is. 3.8 something would be 50%. All sounds.
I'm happy with 4,000, Madam Chair.
Happy with that.
Okay, then that will be moved $4,000. Anyone want to speak against that? I'll put it to the vote. All those in support? Against? Carried. Okay. The second one is to approve the sum of $4,807 from the Community Grant Fund to Jackman Entertainment for cost towards Kitty Kitty Street Party 2025. Do I have a mover? I'll move it. Bruce, second. I don't have anything really to say about this other than it's a really important follow on from the Kitty Kitty Half Marathon. Historically has been, and I think it's always great to have an event when you've got people lingering around looking for something to do, brings people to town, adds to the vibrancy of the half marathon event, and with somebody like Jackie doing it, hopefully we'll get to a position where it will make a reasonable profit and they won't have to come to the board in the future, or they may be able to consider upping the entrance fee a little bit. But I do feel because it's held in an open space like it is, that people feel that they should be able to walk down the street and listen to everything and see everything. But unfortunately, event costs these days. So, Bruce has seconded. Do you want to talk to us?
I hear lots of support for it. Community. Son's taken up this crazy bloody thing of drumming. I hear that all different.
Drumming.
Oh God. Another one must be human. That's hard. Babysitting.
I really thought we might need only too well. The neighbours complaining.
But no, I think it's just great, as you say, it's self-directed. It's a yeah. Can evolve, and so that's a big thing. And it does keep the people in the back up that run and want to take a while. Go off again.
Brindle ones is a little bit of a concern this year, and thank you for pointing that out. I did read it, but the dates didn't sink in. We're going to have to do some really good comms on our when you come back from your holiday around the actual road closures and the impact being quiet.
You mean until like the tickets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for the participants in the half marathon, it's a real concern because they do come from far and wide.
But if they don't know about it until afterwards.
Yeah,
So they visited Waipu.
They'll still be able to get it, of course, and get up here, but it is a deterrent from those that are umming and ahhing about coming up. Just to.
I think that's right. I think even more reason we need to support the street party this year. You know, because of that, right? Because if we can keep those people who have come up another night and support them in a year that is going to be, it's just a hard year for events as well. So,
And so the overall economic benefit's greater if they can stay the night too longer. We'll trap them here.
That's right. Yeah. Tell them the road's closed, they can't get back.
Okay, anybody want to speak against us? We've got $1,807 for the Kitty Street Party. I move. Bruce second. All those in support? Against? That's carried. Moving on, we have $2,500. I just would like to point out that Okaho College actually applied for $10,772. This is toward the Okaho District School's 150th anniversary reunion from our community grant fund. Do I have a mover?
I'm going to get on to.
Thank you, Roddy. Second, Elaine. Roddy, do you want to speak to this first as mover?
I know this area pretty well, considering I come from Whangaroa and just one word, Malamoka. So I think for me, if we don't fund it, we've got a town that if you blink, you're going to miss it. And we've got seems to be a lot of interest. I mean, to a lot of people, 100 people isn't much, but to little communities like Okaho, that's a huge amount. And the reason why I'm supporting this is because it's probably one of the areas that we don't often get to support. It's one of the areas that we don't, I suppose, actually get to do many things. And listening to them, it's that liability thing in there that those who are trying to arrange something that's, I suppose, good and beneficial for the community, having to take the full liability for that, that's scary for me. And for me, when I look at it, the reality is if those sort of blockers are out there, then it kind of puts a shadow over everyone else that's trying to create events for their community. And you know, when I look at 150 years, it's huge. And there should be some sort of, I suppose, recognition of that from the board. Just like that.
Thanks, Roddy. Lane?
Madam Chair, I think you could go out of your way and find all sorts of fault with this application, but I would agree with Roddy. these are small communities, and in fact, Northland is small communities, and we're in the position to assist them, and I think we have to do it when we have the opportunity.
So bearing that in mind, looking at the amount that you're granting, 2,500, when they're asking for 10,772, do you feel that they're likely to succeed in establishing the event?
How much have they asked for from Kaikohe Hokianga? Given that
Should be in the
is,
application.
Kaiho is in their
Yes.
area.
I don't think it is actually, Madam
Yeah, I
Chair.
think
I
so.
looked for it and it wasn't there.
I think so.
That's why I asked.
Sorry, which was this?
How much have they asked?
How much have they asked for?
One moment, caller. I'll double check. I think it was about the same amount.
Did they ask for anything from Te Huku? Because they met yesterday, didn't they?
No, because it's in the Kaikohe Hokianga ward, so that's why it's gone to them. And it's they were like, well, Bay of Islands will benefit because
we bought it in anyway.
well, that and also you've got the accommodation here, so anyone coming up. So Kaihau tomorrow at Kaikohe Hokianga.
So they don't meet till tomorrow. No.
Yeah, they have asked for the same amount.
Same amount,
10,772. Yeah.
And that is why.
It's in October.
Oh, the wrong application. So they're asking for security fencing, toilets, traffic management, which is a killer, hireage of tables and rubbish bins. Those two aren't huge amounts.
They've asked for the same from Kaikohe Hokianga. So they put the same application into both boards.
So what you're saying, Catherine, is if we were to grant 50%, that would be in Kaikohe Hokianga, grant 50%, that would be the full amount that they're requesting.
Yeah.
And they're also, that's what they're requesting is the total amount anyway, isn't it? So they're
It seems
requesting.
like it.
Yeah.
Which they can do if it's split across boards.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
The main reason I'd recommended a lower amount was purely because it's not actually in your ward.
No, it's very much follow what we grant.
Possibly, although if it's a reward area, they should be supporting that. Any appetite to push it over the email? Because I'm thinking it might. It's a difficult one. It's still early days, being with 100 registered, because the people are travelling and looking for accommodation. They probably want to look at securing with that guy to buy more tickets.
I'm comfortable with the amount that I think the amount recommended was appropriate, given that it's not in our room and we're supporting it. I would be totally averse to increasing it slightly, but I think it really sits. We're assisting, is what we're doing.
We're helping underwrite it a little bit, right?
Yes.
What I feel like.
There's a difference between our ward and their ward. That's their responsibility. They say, while I suggest the board supports it, I don't mean we should actually give 50% because ultimately it's in a completely different ward. I just ask the board to consider supporting in some way.
Right, I'll put it to the vote then. Move Roddy, seconded Lane for $2,500. All those in support? Against? That's carried. Moving on to the next one, we have $4,000 from the Community Grant Fund to Robin Toro towards Mana. It's like Manawa 2 to me, but it's not. It's Mana one week.
Nothing worry, so people with Alzheimer's and things.
I do need lessons. Taumata Tama. Do I have a mover?
I'll move it to get on the table, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
It was disappointing she didn't come and speak to us.
She did message yesterday because she was doing multiple applications, and I said, yeah, you're due here tomorrow, but she just didn't.
So where else is she applying from?
She hasn't at this stage. This is it, as far as I'm aware.
So for $4,000, I would normally request that she speak to her.
So you could leave it on the table until next month. You do still have one meeting left in the triennium.
I would be inclined to do that, but because I think this is an interesting application and it's something that is real grassroots, and it's for the queer and Kaumātua, particularly with Alzheimer's. And it looks like the problem, thanks to the email, because it's really hard to understand from the application what she was asking for, but the email said basically their venue has now been unavailable, so they're having to hire at great expense another venue.
So is it not at Kaio Rugby?
It's to pay the Kaio Rugby Club for hosting them, which is an interesting cost for them to have to bear. It's a lot of money, so I'm just
That's why
so I'm just wondering whether, Bruce, you go back to your community and have a wee chat. Maybe we leave this on the table.
Well, if there's an appetite to reconsider this or to consider funding it, I mean, you are looking at definitely Alzheimer's dementia is a growth with the ageing population anyway. So are we looking at just funding a sector of the community, and are we opening the doors to having other organisations coming to us for funding? I think there's merit in having Robin come to speak to us.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I think.
So if we're all in favour, I will let this lie. Jane and Bruce, are you happy to let this lie?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because it looks interesting. I'd like to hear them.
Don't need to.
It's the sort of thing.
For a cheaper rate.
I think it's the sort of thing that will do the most in the future.
Okay, so the next one is $3,000 from the community grant fund to the centre towards the show Tangihanga. I'll move. Do I have a second there?
Yep.
Thank you, Jane. Now, we did hear Jerry say that they do need the $6,000 to make this a success. They don't have anything in the budget for this. So $3,000 will make it difficult for them if they're going to tickets like they normally do, discount on this.
So
Doing a
free
free children's matinee.
matinee.
And 400 kids.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to amend that to the full amount of 6,000.
Happy to support that, Madam Chair.
I think we heard from Jerry. The only reason I had a bit of an insight into that, and Amy would have heard it too the other night, he was plugging events while they were doing stage changes at the celebrations on Saturday night, and he mentioned it, and it would seem to attract quite a from the audience. I think for somebody to play 30 characters, and in fact, I'd like to go. It sounds really. Sounds emotionally like it would, that she can transport us anywhere with us with humour and sorrow, and I think those of us that have been to Tangi, or and I think particularly in that cultural realm, it will be an amazing event. To go to Te Hiki,
I think the fact that he's got other venues to take it, Mania and Te Hiku is wonderful.
So that he can get it up here.
I think it's fantastic.
If we can be a part of helping 400 kids come on to a free show that introduces them to a unique sector of the culture.
And she's a Niho, so she's from here.
Well, it would be an insight for a lot of those kids coming along too that have never attended Tangi, because
the Pākehā.
Well, end of the day, the Irish do it well, and they do it really well too. Okay, so,
I'm happy to.
and Jane, you're going to follow up to see whether we can do a show in.
Yeah, it may be too short too soon. I'll give David a call because I'm leaving town, so it might be too difficult, but I will check.
We'll blame that on Anne going to Glasgow.
It's all about Anne.
Okay, so we're looking at the full amount of $6,000 from the Community Grant Fund towards the show Tangi Hanga. Moved myself, seconded Jane, all those in support? Against? Want it noted, Lane?
On principle, I still
Stick to your guns.
Yeah.
need to clarify your funding of this motion.
Okay. We have the application to decline the application from Tri-Oceans Education Trust for the sum of $35,000 for costs towards planning and consents for the build of the Tui Education Centre. I'll move. Do I have a seconder?
What are you moving, Madam Chair?
To decline the
Oh.
application from Tri-Oceans.
I'm more than happy to say.
Tyler has seconded it. You've
Oh.
heard it.
You just.
Not really any discussion from me. We know where this sits from the board perspective, and we don't provide funding to pay ourselves as council, which is what they are requesting, wanting costs towards planning to resubmit planning plans to rebuild Tui, and also the resource consent or consents, whether that would be the building consent, which I know they already have stamped, which is external works, or the resource consent, and that's its regional council. So I've moved. Tyler seconded. Any further discussion around it? To the vote that will decline it. All those in support? Against? Carried. Right, that brings us to the end of our funding applications. Thank you. So we will go to item 8.1 on page 128. The Bailon's Whangaroa Community Board received the Bailon's Whangaroa Board Open Resolution Sheet. Can I have a mover? Bruce, thank you.
Madam Chair, can I speak to it?
Would you like to second it, please?
I'll second it first.
Thank you, Jane.
Bruce, do you want to speak? I'm just curious as to why they're closing the placemaking project when it hasn't been done. And I would quite like the oversight of this board to make sure that it keeps moving forward.
I think that would be because now they would have a resolution on the council of resolution report, but if you'd like to leave it on there.
I think I'd like to leave it
Yeah,
on just as a belt and braces, because sometimes I don't necessarily see the council open resolution reports, and I'd like us to make sure we do have it on the table.
I think valid point, Jane, because we quite often get our RFSs closed off when we feel that perhaps they shouldn't be without valid reason.
I'll give an example. About November 2023, we approved the lease of the play centre in Whangaroa, and it is still not resolved, and it sits there on the council agenda with month in, month out, and it has been resolved. I wouldn't have known if I hadn't gone and read all the council agendas, because it disappears from our oversight, and that's why I don't want to see it moving on.
They say they're waiting for them, for the group to actually meet and come back to council.
For a year.
Yeah.
At some point, they're going to have to say, well, do you want the space or not?
I did put that up as council on the open resolution sheet.
So you'll see on my list, I've been working on it, so there is discussions now.
It's a matter of principle because the community board sit under a separate piece of legislation to council, and these are your projects. I do believe that the open resolutions report should stay until it's resolved in your agenda.
Yeah.
Even if the decision making moves to another level, until it's closed out, it needs to sit here.
Which is why I've said I'd like to leave this
So
here.
I fully support you, Jane.
And you know, the lease on the play centre, I've now started monitoring it, and I've now started getting involved because we need to actually close this. It's sitting there. Yeah.
Elaine, you've updated us on the discussion there for the Philippine Domain Management Committee.
But it should still stay there until it is.
Yes, definitely. And How are we going since we've
We'll just wait for council to send it to us. Ultimately,
do we have a district facilities person now? We might do. Who replaced Victoria?
Acting person called Jim or something, James. Acting person called James.
I like the way you want to keep them be like.
Sorry, Councillor Kappa, can you shine a light on any?
No.
and so that's the feedback from Robin. She's sent it to council and need to refer it back to the board for us to make a decision for consultation with the public. You see.
So this is the problem we have with Kitty Kitty Domain. Their problem is waiting for approval from the head of department to move on the Kitty Kitty Domain.
It's just ridiculous. Not moving forward on so many things.
It's a fear of doing the wrong.
Fear of doing anything in life.
It becomes inertia because I understand the backstory on the domain, but there was a clear. We put in a resource management plan that that's what we were going to do. It went out to the community. It did consultation. All agreed. All stamped. And then all of a sudden, somebody raised an issue, and then everyone. I don't want to touch that. That becomes a little bit of a problem.
I think this is the issue with this one is that there's no senior staff member to actually, so that Robin can move ahead with, but I think somebody may have recently been appointed, but don't ask me the name, I can't be. The district facilities manager is Jonathan. That name.
But isn't it acting?
Madam Chair, with all respect, with all due respect, we know what moved this forward. It was the CEO sitting at our last meeting and listening to tirade about the food. It's true.
So we'll get action.
And the rest of the toilet's got fixed as well.
That's
Okay.
Wow.
We did have a bit of action.
Yes.
Yeah. He needs to come every month.
That's not the answer.
Right, the answer is be there.
I'm joking.
In the delegations register and the community board coordinator. And I appreciate Beverly's online, but she's acting and we need to get these systems embedded. We're always going to have challenges with staff churn and
not this
loss
level.
of memory. But I do think there's an avenue here to improve the communication. You guys need to know who to talk to.
We used to.
Well, I think, you know, it's, we do, and but I think the frustration is for us as doers on the ground in the community at Black's Roots is implementation.
Yeah.
You know, we're putting the budgets, we're committing, we're having the discussions and debate, we're doing our homework, we're getting projects, and when we go through our list, we achieve an awful lot, and it's exciting to see, you know, what we do in collaboration with groups in the community. And it's, yeah, it's disappointing and almost insulting that we can't get, and it's like Jane with the frustration with the
cemetery. And the cemetery.
And the cemetery comes down to
the other part.
it comes down to staff to assist in the implementation because we're not operational when it comes to the end of it. So that's our frustration.
I guess another question is,
how long since we started this process on Simpson Park? Right? It's got to be. I dug out a piece of paper the other day.
It's been a while.
Well, anyway, the first open resolution on here is January this year.
Yeah.
So we will be right through the year probably before we do anything, and into another triennium. And that's just not. I mean, fortunately, you're both going to be there to see through the implementation of these projects that we as a board have decided to commit to. And it's letting you down in your communities if we can't deliver.
Yeah. But the other thing is that, you know, our members' reports, you know, we've put things in, and do the staff read it and go, oh, gosh, there's something there. I mean, I'm trying to get a memorial seat for Janet Planet's family. I've been trying for over a year now. It's 1 year and 2 months since I submitted my request, and nobody has even contacted their family.
And they keep asking me what's going on, and I have no answers for them.
Can
She
I
was
suggest that this conversation is probably not entirely appropriate.
No,
in
oh,
this forum.
sorry.
And
Sorry.
but I do hear you.
Yes.
And I do think that there are solutions, and perhaps we could have a chat when we go into workshop.
And there is,
Okay,
there is,
sorry,
there is a
but there's a
policy
frustration.
to deal with that too. Okay, so anything else on our open
This-
session?
There's one thing I think our community already has a wish list for something, but can't actually bring it because, like you said, we had a discussion. It's pointless turning around and putting something in if the plan changes. Wanted to put as a fountain then over there at the rugby club. We know that that's changing. I think that rugby club's going to be out of there, and so we can't actually bring any projects to the board until that first part is done, and that's been our hold up. So, yeah.
When we run the risk of identifying staff members, we need to be very, very careful. And sorry, Roddy, we need to stop the conversation, Madam Chair.
We'll take a mission to be naming people anyway. Okay, so move Bruce and seconded Jane that we receive this open resolution report. All those in support? Against? It's carried. So that brings us to the end of our formal meeting today. And Councillor Dave Kappa, you opened us, would you like to close us with a karakia, please?
E te toko kai mātu ki te mutunga o tēnei hui hunga, nā mātu i ārahi i āpina, kia tūtiki pai ki mā kaupapa